A beautiful morning to you out there. Welcome to yet another interesting edition of your all-time favorite program, Daybreak Benue. My name is Mercy Upa.
I'm Stephen Abba. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Stephen. How's it from your end?
Fine, I'm good.
Alright, coming in, the weather in Makudi today is just exceptionally cool.
Yes, one of my tutors when we were in secondary school said the weather is balmy. Balmy is B-A-L-M-Y.
Yes.
As in the school is conducive, is accurate, you know.
Wow, so much description for the weather. Well, it's really lovely out here, and beginning with the weather, the people, and everything about Benue is just exceptionally beautiful today.
Yeah.
If you're not here, you should find time to take a tour. Benue has become a new tourist ground. I mean, recently we had a visit of the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, in the state to commission the Benue Fashion Hub.
And the printing
press.
Yeah.
So that was, it's just an indication that Benue has become the destination now for greatness, everything beautiful. On Daybreak Benue this morning, though, we are going to be focusing our attention on 3 decades of Governor Alia's priesthood, impact on humanity, and we're expected to be joining us on the program this morning Reverend Father Ugo Clement, spiritual director to the governor of Benue State, and we're also expecting to join us on the show this morning Reverend Father Michael Meladu, FJS Chairman, Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board, and together we're going to be having this conversation. But in the meantime, let's shift our attention to this trending issue of WAEC and underage. The Minister of Education Professor Tahir Mamman, came forward to say that there is now a new policy on age as far as registration of WAEC is concerned, and what he did say was that one have to be 18 to register and write for the WAEC examinations and other bodies related, likewise NECO as well. That information, that policy didn't go down very well, especially with the Nigerian Union of Teachers, as they condemned the federal government decision to ban under 18 candidates from sitting for the West African Senior School Certificate Examination and the National Examination Council, even as the Academic Staff Union of Universities backed the policy.
We had talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm sure, just like we were talking the other day, no Nigerian is interested, or even nobody is going to do this. Thank God the Senate said it's going to be subjected to public hearing. In fact, I like the fact that it's going to be much later people talk about it, probably maybe from every state. I remember when we were in secondary school, some of my mates graduated from secondary school when they were 17. You understand? Some graduated at 18.
Yeah.
I graduated at 19. You understand? And at 19, as far as I was concerned, I was late, because my mates were graduating at 17. And look at where they are now. So when you begin to say somebody must attain that age before, I think there's a problem. And like we agreed the other time, even if you go outside this country now, you see some of these people, their children are already graduates at 17. And they are doing whatever everybody's supposed to do. And of course, as we agreed also, at 18 in the US, for example, a child is already out of his parents' house, or he's trying to leave the parents' house. So why should the case be different here?
The arguments that put forth by these different groups is been very interesting to monitor the story as it develops, and I sincerely hope that this won't be one of the policies that gets Nigerians reacting, but eventually it still remains. I guess they have to compare the argument from both sides. I'm not surprised, to have the Academic Staff Union of University have a different, opinion about this topic, because one, they have been the body that have got to experience underage in these institutions, their behaviors, that juvenile, how do they delinquency, they get to experience all of this. And so yes, I guess they experience the adults and the underage per se, in these institutions, and they have made a comparison and said that yes, it's best if they have more adults in the universities. But the argument being put forward by NUT is quite interesting here, and they're saying that this probably looks like a misplacement of priority on the part of the Minister of Education in this country, because there are so many issues to focus attention on rather than the age limitation of students enrolling for WAEC, which they have placed it on 18. It's quite beautiful to see how Professor Tahir Mahmood did the division. He did it from primary to secondary. 3 years, 6 years you're out of primary, 3 years for the junior class, 3 years for the senior class, and you're 18. I would have loved to see him continue after secondary school at 18, where he will now tell us that, oh, now 4 years in the university. Then Nigerians will come out to say, sorry, Professor Tahir Mahmoud, most Nigerian students in most public institutions for a 4-year course end up spending 7 or even 8 years due to incessant strike. So that is already a hindrance. So when they're finally out of school, they're already hindered.
In fact, when they're out of school, no company is ready to employ them, because for example, banks will say you should be less than 25 with 10-year experience. Okay, now let's look at something else. ASU is sort of backing what Mama Tahir has said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now what I'm saying here is that I saw a clip recently. Professors, university professors, especially VCs, were the ones, or are the ones, pegging the cutoff marks for JAMB, and it was ridiculous. As low as 150, as low as 120. So where are we going to? The thing here is that the future, where we're going, is more complex than where we're coming from. I used to tell people, and the earlier we're prepared for it, the better. So I used to tell people that if your child at 10, 12 cannot operate the phone very well, the child is already lagging behind as far as his time is concerned.
Well, to wrap it up, I like the mere fact that Nigeria federal government is very much interested in the well-being or welfare of the Nigerian students in the university, their conduct. They should extend that care, to how long they stay in the universities, and fix every issues, because they're already beginning. I'm already hearing sounds and noises or threats of strike happening again. So they should fix all these issues to ensure that, yes, when you leave secondary school at 18, then for a 4-year course, you actually stick to that 4 years and you're done with it. We'll go for a short break. When we'll come back, we are going to be focusing our attention on the 3-decade of Governor Alia's priesthood impact on humanity. Please stay with us.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade. Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dogo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers: Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity.
Welcome back from that break, and remember you can always be part of Daybreak Benue on our social media platform by dropping your comments or your questions. I believe our guests will be more than happy, to attend to some of your questions or even see your remarks. On Daybreak this morning, we are focusing our attention on 3 decades of Governor alias priesthood, impact on humanity. And joining us in the studio for a conversation this morning, we have no other but Reverend Father Ugo Clement, Spiritual Director to the Governor of Benue State. You're most welcome to Daybreak Benue.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, viewers. We hope to have a trusty moment with you to share about the Governor and the 3 decades of his priestly ministry with you.
All right, and also joining us for a conversation this morning, we have with us in the studio Reverend Father Michael Miladu, FGS, Chairman Christian Pilgrim Welfare Board. You're most welcome to Daybreak Benue this morning.
Thank you very much for having me and welcome viewers.
All right, so let's just jump right into the conversation. It's actually an interesting time, here in Benue State. A lot of good things are happening. Here we are having another governor that is a priest. We had one before that did excellently well, and now we have one for the first time ever. A sitting governor is being given accolades while still on seat. I grew up wondering why people often criticize their leaders while they're on seat until they step down, but I'm seeing something different here. This is a governor that while on seat, he's being accorded accolades while still in the process of governance. It's quite remarkable here. Let's just talk about this priesthood, this 34 years, I believe, in the priesthood.
Yes. 34.
Wow. What does that really mean to be in the priesthood for 34 years?
Yes, let me begin by saying that the Governor of Benue State, His Excellency, Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomimalia, was ordained a priest on the 7th of July 1990 here in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. That was where he was ordained by the Bishop then of Makurdi Diocese, Most Reverend Athanasius Atule Usu of blessed memory. And so throughout this time he has served as a priest. He has not deviated for 34 years. Exactly this year on the 7th of July 2024 marked his 34th priestly ordination anniversary. But what we are going to have this coming Saturday, 31st of August, is a celebration, but the exact date was on the 7th of July 2024. That was the day he marked 34 years as a priest. And these 34 years, as you may have heard and have seen, are full with achievement. We cannot count them now. But just for the sake of our viewers and those listening to us, 34 years is from the 7th of July 1990 to 7th of July 2024.
Reverend Father Michael Miladu, can you walk us through what it really takes to be a priest? So our viewers really appreciate what it means to be a priest for 34 good years.
Well, I think the Catholic priesthood is one profession that requires the longest period of training. I don't think there's any other profession where it takes more than 10 years for you to cross to the other side. And to be a priest is a call to service. And I've always told people it's the highest office any human being can occupy in the whole world. We attended a function with the governor somewhere, and then someone made a statement that says the governor has ascended a higher office, that he moved from being a priest to ascend a higher office. And I said, theologically speaking, that is completely wrong. He rather descended, he stooped down, to attend to the needs of Benue people. And we are praying and hoping that when it's done, he will ascend higher to occupy the office of the priesthood. You know, it is one place where God has called you and has elevated you from being a human being, and then he brings you so close as if he wants to deify you. Then you are hanging between God and humanity. And in this way, you can collect people's offerings, offer them to God, and then collect God's blessing and impact them on the people. So it's an exaltant office. And that is why we have always appreciated the governor to have stepped down from this exalted office to come down here to help the Benue people.
Okay, Reverend Father Gom, please, you may need to walk us through the spiritual journey of the governor, how it evolves. Probably you must have known the governor before now, and you must have done your priestly activities together a long time ago. 30 years, if you remove 34 years from the governor's age, he was young when he was ordained. So maybe you may need to walk us through this evolution, how it became.
Spirituality is not something that just starts when you are a priest.
Yes.
As Father Michael has rightly said, it takes up to 10, 11 years for one to be trained and ordained a priest. So while you begin your training, you also begin your spiritual journey. And the executive governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomemalia, went to the minor seminary. The minor seminary is seen as a seedbed where young individuals are trained, and then from there they make a choice of becoming a priest or going to facing another vocation in life. And so he went to the minor seminary. Right the time he was in the minor seminary, he started being spiritual by praying the rosary. He values the rosary. The rosary is a serious prayer of the Catholic Church. And so he started praying the rosary while in the minor seminary. And then when he eventually joined the major seminary after graduation from the minor seminary, he was also attached to praying of the rosary. And then from his experience and from my own experience of him and what he has shared with me, he watched a movie. And in that movie, he saw somebody sending away evil spirit. And so he was also having the desire of him to one day be able to send away evil spirit. And then he continued in his struggle to be a priest by attaching himself to the rosary and then the Eucharist. And so these are the basic tools that helped him to grow spiritually and become what he is now, a priest. So you have to be spiritually filled, you have to be spiritually sound before you become a priest. Not when you become a priest that you begin to develop a spirituality. You have your own spirituality that molds you, that builds you, that brings you up. And then when you become a priest, that manifests in what you do and in what you say and in how you live your life. And the governor is one person that has done that.
So what spiritual values or teachings you think must have influenced the governor? Because we human beings are very different, but trainings can make us look alike. So, but there are values, there are teachings that may set the man apart. So what are these teachings and spiritual values that have maybe set the governor apart?
You know, Father mentioned something here while he was making his remarks. And it's one experience that the governor has constantly shared with people whenever an opportunity presents itself. And he said this happened while he was a young seminarian sent to Adigbo to work under very Reverend Father Dominic G. And then the priest inserted a video known as The Exorcist. And when he watched that video, he saw a priest exorcising someone who was possessed. And then he saw in that the power of the priesthood. Sometimes things you learn theologically in the class they're completely different from practicality, right? And that is why there are certain courses, if you are to go into them, after the theory part of it, you go into practicals, and then that gives you a clearer knowledge of what you were taught theoretically. So when he saw this, something struck him. He said, well, he had been hearing about the power of a priest to drive away demons, to cast out evil spirits. He has read about it in the scripture, but what he has seen here is so very practical. And then he made up his mind that he was going to be an exorcist, that he was going to be this type of priest that when he stands before anybody who is possessed, the demon runs away. And then he started working on himself assiduously, to develop a spirituality that will build him towards doing that.
Who mentored him? Who mentored the governor?
Well, the governor has always mentioned particular individuals who influenced his life, and I've just mentioned one now, Very Reverend Father Dominic G. He has always mentioned Father Patrick Alumuku and a few other elderly priests whose life he envied as a young priest coming up, and then he tried to walk through their footsteps.
But just to add to what Father Mike has said,
Yes.
overall, the governor sees his mentorship as drawing from Jesus Christ.
Okay.
That Jesus Christ came and he was concerned about the poor, the suffering masses, to make sure they are comfortable, to serve them. And that is why when Father Mike was speaking here, he said that the governor descended from the exalted position.
Yes.
And that is what Jesus Christ did. Remember, those of us who go to the Catholic Church, on Holy Thursday, we watch and experience that ceremony of the washing of the feet. Jesus descending from his exalted position to come down, wash the feet of his disciples. So the governor sees Jesus Christ as his mentor, but not forgetting the fact that there are human beings too who have influenced him, as Father Mike has said. But anytime the governor has an opportunity, we call the names of people that have mentored him, but he doesn't forget Jesus Christ, and that he's his supreme mentor, and he wants to carry out what Jesus Christ teaches.
Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umem alias priestly journey. One peculiar thing that really stood out was this healing mass that he carried out in the course of his journey as a priest, and he really touched lives, and we saw practical testimony of that, especially during his campaign to become the governor of Benue State, where instead of going out to give to people to vote, when he goes out to campaign, people rather give to him. We saw women bringing out their last eggs to give to him, their last chicken to give to him. Walk us through his journey in terms of impact to humanity in the course of his priestly journey, 34 years.
You know, in life, we appreciate. Appreciation is very, very important. Even in the Bible, Jesus spoke about appreciation. He said 10 lepers were healed. Only one come back to appreciate and thank God. The governor of Benue State, for the past years, has done a lot to humanity before becoming a governor. So the time he came, he came to answer the call of the people who were crying that Benue is sick. So the healing masses he has been doing in the church, he should come out and heal the whole Benue and not just the church. And then when he came out to conscientize people on the need to vote for him, at that time he was not begging them, say, I beg you vote for me. He would tell them that you have called me, I come. So the time is coming, when that day comes, you vote for me. And what you have mentioned of men and women coming out to donate and to give was a sign of appreciation for what he has done for them, and for accepting to come down, for accepting to come down from that exalted position to salvage the situation Benue was in.
Maybe, Father Mellors, I don't know if you have something else to add to concerning his impact to humanity, that we saw that level, that unprecedented level of love, from the masses, that they even declared election the healing mass.
Well, as Father rightly pointed out, Father earlier, before becoming a governor, was a very popular Catholic priest that had a very huge followership. And as you mentioned earlier on, He was known as an exorcist, through whom God touched many people by way of healing, by way of deliverance, and a whole lot of other positive spiritual values. So when Benue people got fed up with failure in leadership that got the entire state strangled economic-wise, they went to him to appeal that he extends his healing graces to the entire state, and then graciously he accepted. And let us not forget the fact that in the past, a priest governed the state and did exceptionally well. So it was a case of saying, please let us do it again. And within this short period of time, as you mentioned earlier, Benue people have not regretted for taking that decision. You know, the impact is so massive within a very short period of time, and then they've seen very clearly that the same thing this man was doing while he was a priest, he has extended it to governance.
In fact, one of the persons, the other day we were talking, and he said that, Father, go and tell the governor, he's your brother. You are his spiritual director. Go and tell him that Benue people are saying that when he finishes 8 years, then he should take the years that were left by his brother, the late His Excellency, very Reverend Father Dr. Moses Oshoada, so that he should take those years that he left and complete. Because the way he has started and what he is doing, he should if he completes the tenure of his brother, Benue will be something else.
I heard something quite different from that, though. I heard that he committed a crime by not coming earlier.
Yes, maybe for some people, some people that is what they think. But
two priests. The first one left an indelible mark in the lives of Benue citizens, and here again we have another priest. Barely 1.5 years, he's making a lot of inroads. What is so peculiar about the priesthood?
The priest is one who has sacrificed himself for the comfort of the other people. The priest lives a life of sacrifice, very paramount in the life of every priest. And that is what Jesus did, I always tell you. And the priests, they take Jesus as their model. So His Excellency, you will discover, our governor, you will discover that he sacrifices so that Benue will be good. So one of the things that is peculiar about the Catholic priests is that they sacrifice, they live a life of sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice, nothing will move. Jesus Christ sacrificed himself so that humanity will be freed from their sins. And that exactly happened. So the priest sacrifices so that it will be good.
And in addition to what he has just said, in Catholic theology, we believe that the human being is made up of two components, the spiritual and then the corporeal, the physical part of us. And while Jesus was here, who is our model as Catholic priest, he took care of these two aspects of humanity. Remember, time without number, he fed people he gave people food after feeding them spiritually. So in our ministry as priest, part of what you are to do is to also to see to the physical welfare of the people. That is why option for the poor is not, it cannot be compromised in any Catholic parish. Once something comes into the parish and you are able to take a few things that you need for yourself, the rest must go to others. And then every priest is also a developer. People have said the time without number. No matter how interior a place is, just establish a parish there and give it very few years. You go down, you will be baffled at what happens in that place. And just as Father also said, as a priest, you don't have a wife, you don't have children. Most of these people, when they are amassing wealth, when they are stealing and accumulating so much, they are doing that for their children and for their children's children. So if a priest does that, then he's doing it for who? For what? So these are part of the things that give priest advantage when you come to the issue of development.
Father, you are the spiritual advisor to the governor of Benue State. how is he able to balance the responsibility of a priest and the enormous responsibility of statehood?
Yes, thank you. I'm the spiritual director. To the governor.
Sorry about that.
So, you know that priests, they live a life of prayer. In fact, we pray at least 5 times. At least, that is the minimum. 5 times a day.
Okay.
You pray you pray before morning. You pray in the morning. Pray before noon. You pray afternoon. You say your evening prayer. You say your night prayer. Though I say
6,
at least.
at least.
The ones I have mentioned here is 6.
Yeah.
But at least 5 times. At least. So, the governor being a priest and being a man of prayer himself, that is what has kept him going. Sometimes when things are difficult like that, he goes back to God in prayer. When he goes back to God in prayer, God answers him. He comes out and does something, and people are marveling. They are wondering, where is he getting this wisdom from? Some people even go to the extent of asking, where did this man know politics like this? Where did he went and learn all these things? Forgetting the fact that this man is a man of prayer. He has attached himself to prayer, and so it is prayer that has been working wonders in his life. You know, we have this common saying that prayer is the master key.
Yeah.
Prayer, the master key, as you know, can open any door. So him being a man of prayer and being able to, since he wants to govern Benue well, he has not left his prayer life. In fact, now that it seems as if he has much work, it is now that he prays more. And it is now that Benue people also pray for him more. And it is now that he has chosen to have a spiritual director. But before now, he was not having a spiritual director. He was doing everything himself. It's like you are having an auxiliary gear now. So that even when the main gear doesn't move the way you want, you can make use of the auxiliary. So that is what happens. So he prays now more. In fact, even in the office, he prays. We go to the office to pray. In the house, we pray. In the church, we pray. So he is able to carry this thing because of he has not forgotten his prayer life. And that prayer life has been keeping him, has been helping him, has been sustaining him in the work of governance.
The beauty of priesthood is once a priest, always a priest. So in as much as he's still governor, like Reverend Father Michael has said that he only descended, but once his tenure, or once he chooses to step down, because many people are begging that there should be an extension or amendment of the constitution that allows him to even stay beyond 8 years, that he will ascend back again to become, the priest. Now, there are a series of activities to mark this celebration, the 34 years of priesthood. And I believe this event is taking place at IBB Square. Do you mind walking us through this, the essence of this celebration and the activities that are lined up for the day? But you respond to that after this break. If you're just joining us, this is a Daybreak Benue, and we're having a very interesting conversation dwelling on the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomem Alia in the studios of Benue Television this morning. Join us, be part of this conversation via our social media platform. We'll be back.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomem Alia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dogo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers: Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity.
of Governor Alia's priesthood impact on humanity. A conversation we're having, and we still have our guests, very Reverend Father Ugo Clement, spiritual director to the Governor of Benue State, in the studio, and Reverend Father Michael Meladu, FGS chairman, Christian Pilgrim Welfare Board, in the studio of Daybreak this morning, having a conversation with us on this very exciting event. So walk us through the series of events that is scheduled for that day. I know the venue is at IBB Square, and I believe it's on Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, the celebration is going to take place on Saturday. The time is 10 a.m. and then the venue is IBB Square here in Makurdi, the capital of Benue State. That day is going to be, it's not a complicated celebration, it's quite a very simple one. We will begin by welcoming the dignitaries that are going to be present, both state and ecclesiastical dignitaries. After that, we'll do the celebration of the Holy Eucharist, which is the highest form of sacrifice. And then immediately after, in the context of the Eucharistic celebration, you know, the governor is celebrating alongside with all his classmates who were ordained that year, not just here in Benue, but throughout the Federation. So in the context of that Eucharistic celebration, they will do their thanksgiving in appreciation to God for the gift of their priesthood. Then after the Mass, there will be a few remarks. The tutti will be given an opportunity to make some remarks. And then if there are those who have some gifts and presentations to make to the celebrant, they will be given an opportunity to do that, at the end of which the governor will make his speech. And that will bring the celebration to an end. Then later in the evening, there will be a dinner here in the government house by 7 p.m. But that will be for a selected few, and it will be strictly on invitation. So that will bring to an end activities for the day.
And I hope Benue television staffs are on that invitation list.
Well, even for others are not invited. Those of you who have anchored this celebration.
Okay. I see lots of activities, but what the beauty of anniversaries, especially for celebrants, is what they really look forward to. You know, because especially when you're in leadership position, you tend to hear more beautiful things. You tend to hear more praises. But what you really seek is the truth, because for every being, what they desire is to grow and become best version of themselves. And that can only happen when you have people around you telling you the truth, irrespective of if it will make you angry or happy. And 34 years priestly anniversary is actually a very good time, because even if it was birthday in terms of age, it's a good time for you to really embrace that adultness and be told to the face what really is there. So using this avenue now and looking at the journey of the governor as a priest, and now still as the governor, because he's still a priest.
Oh yes.
What will you say about the person of Governor Hyacinth Yomemalia?
You know, there's no human being who is perfect. Once you have become perfect, you have stopped being a human being and have become God. We all have our shortcomings, each and every one of us. And just as you've rightly pointed out, people in places of leadership, they hardly get those who tell them the truth to their faces. And in the case of our governor now, it's a combination of two personalities. By that I mean, even as priests, people hardly advise us.
Yeah.
I was preaching at the first mass of Thanksgiving of a junior priest, and I told him, Father, you have stepped into a shoe that if you are not very, very careful, you get yourself consumed by your own vices. People will hardly advise you. People will hardly tell you the truth. People believe, and many have said it time without number, that you don't say no to a priest. Whatever a priest says is yes, Father. And that was our political slogan here in Benue State. So when you have someone that people are always saying yes to 24 hours, you know what that means. You know, everyone feels you know almost everything. Now you have moved from being a priest, you have combined it with being a governor.
Yeah.
A very powerful seat where people go there to praise you 24 hours, no matter how you are doing. And that is why you only get to know that you failed when you might have left the place. Oh yes, just a day after you might have left the place, people start telling you the truth. And by the time you realize that you failed, you don't have any opportunity of going back again. And many of our people, many of our leaders today are living with that stigma. But in the case of Father, he's fortunate in a way. By the very nature of our training, you hardly can see a Catholic priest who will just go and sit down and start praising you. Even as a priest, we, his brothers, the elderly ones and those of us who are his younger ones, will still tell him the truth. We tell him things the way they are. Recently, there was a reunion of all his classmates, and they came here to pay him a courtesy visit. And I was privileged to be part of what was going on. Some of his lecturers in the seminary also came. They pointed out very hard truths about his life, about his administration. So these are part of the privileges he's having, which ordinary people, when their governors, will not have such opportunities. Because everybody who is coming to them is coming to look for something, you know. The same day I was preaching at the first Mass of Thanksgiving of this young priest, I told him, the Catholic Church is so wise in her wisdom. As a priest, your problem cannot be food. Your problem cannot be accommodation. You're up to 80% insured. And this is to help you say things exactly the way they are without being afraid of your breed. So as our brother, as our colleague, even now that he's a governor, we're still telling him things exactly the way they are. So if people see him performing exceptionally well, after giving thanks to God, you also give appreciation to priest in Benue State.
And as he has said, if we don't say that formally or in a formal way, sometimes we use time for meals or when we go for games, as if we are putting a joke before you. And then we'll tell him, Your Excellency, this one like this is not good, this one you should have done it this way. Or we'll say, why you do this kind of thing, as if you are a politician. Yeah. So we use those kind of avenues.
All right. Sorry to butt in here, but does it really listen? Because there's something about power, though. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, has it changed?
Yeah, I was just about to chip in.
Yeah.
That our joy lies in the fact that he listens. He does.
Yes.
He does. He listens. He has a very huge listening ear. The truth of the matter is that when you are advising someone, it doesn't mean the person must accept practically everything you've said. But the person sees this advice and then he takes the ones that are very, very necessary. That we are advising him, it doesn't mean each and every one of the advice we're giving to him is correct. You know, so he sees them, but majority of things we've told him about, he's getting them done.
Okay, Reverend Father, this is the first time I'm hearing about spiritual director for a governor. And a point will come in the history of Benue State, they will say Reverend Father Hyacinth earlier failed in this spiritual part because his spiritual director didn't direct him well. So we want to know, Benue people want to know the specific thing you do with the governor or for the governor as a spiritual director.
As a spiritual director, you have a lot of work.
Okay.
You have plenty of work. Number one is to pray for the governor and the whole state. Number two, you listen to his confession and advise him.
Which it does very regularly.
Yes.
Okay.
And number three, you also listen to confidential things that comes from him that he will not tell anyone, which he does. He shares with me and I advise him. Number 4, you are in a position to organize prayers for him and for the state. And in our case, we have also composed a prayer for the success of the administration of His Excellency, Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomemalia. Maybe I will have to share the prayer with you, with Benue Television, so that they will see how they can make it viral. On the day of the anniversary, we shall be sharing the prayers to Benue people too. The chairman of the Central Planning Committee has graciously accepted and approved that about 5,000 copies be produced, so that they will be shared to Benue people. The Benue people that will be there on that day, they will get a prayer. Already they have been clamoring for prayers for the governor, and they have been praying, and now is to direct them. You know, when you go to the hospital, it's good, you know, that you can buy Panadol and take if you have headache.
Yes.
But the doctor will have to tell you whether you are to take Panadol when you have headache. Some headache you have is not Panadol that will heal you. Maybe you need to sleep. That is what the spiritual director does. He directs you on how you go with your own spiritual life. And that is why I was saying that the governor is a very wise person. He's a priest, and he has also chosen a spiritual director.
Yeah.
It's like you have a gear and you also have an auxiliary gear, so that it will be of help to you. So there are a lot of things we do here. Like every day we have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. Every day at the Government House Chapel, we have that for 1 hour. Then after the exposition of the, apart from the morning prayers and the other prayers before noon, so the exposition comes up 10 minutes to 11. Exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. It's 1 hour. We pray before Jesus Christ. We bring our worries, we bring our difficulties, we bring our anxieties. We have that exposition for 1 hour. Then after that, we have the Holy Mass, the Eucharist, which is the highest form of prayer for the Catholic Church. We have Mass every day, from Monday to Friday. Then on Saturdays, we also have exposition in the evening. Around 7, we have exposition, and we also have, but Saturday is private Mass. We don't expect other people to come as they come on from Monday to Friday. And then on Sunday, we have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament in the morning, 8 o'clock. And then Mass comes up 10 a.m. every Sunday at the Government House Chapel.
We may digress a little. You know, from Bible days, if you read the Bible, you can't really separate the faith from the state. They are almost together. In fact, they are together. But a point came in politics. Anytime a priest wants to contest for an election, to tell him, go to church, that is where you belong. You cannot come and mix religion with the state. So what happened differently that our governor, even as a priest, becomes the governor of Benue State? Because I remember there were issues like that too. Maybe you can walk us through what happened. How did he succeed as a priest and as a governor? Breaking that thought pattern that you cannot mix the state and the faith.
You know, before now, I have earlier said that
Yes.
it was a call from the people, that he was carrying out a mass for the sick and
But
healing
you will
masses
agree
in the
with me that
church.
even if the people are saying yes, there are other people that are saying no. And the point comes, the other few people might even surmount they are shouting might be more than that of the people that are many.
Yes.
So now there was a breaking that happened. How
Yes.
did he do it?
That is why I say it was a call.
Alright.
The few that didn't want, we are also there.
Okay.
But the majority carried the vote.
Okay.
So the majority of people that we are yearning and begging and calling on him, they wanted, they say, come. You are carrying out these healing masses. You are healing people spiritually. Now Benue is sick. Come and heal Benue. Come and perform those your healing masses. And you know that before the elections, you see on social media, The people, they say we are having healing mass on this day. So instead of election, people were calling it healing mass. And you can see that people came out to vote in the night, even when there was rain, people didn't mind. They came out so that they can vote for him. So number one, he didn't come out himself. He was called by the people. So the people see in him a Benue Messiah. That was what they saw in him. And so they wanted him to come and serve them. He come and liberate them from the shackles of underdevelopment, from the shackles of no payment of arrears and gratuity and salaries that people were suffering from. So that was why he was able to succeed. One, he didn't come himself. He was called, and the people that called him made sure that he succeed. Remember, you said, Mercy said that when he came out for campaign, people were giving him instead of when people go out they give. So the people that called him thought, you need this support, so we'll give you. You are not coming for your own agenda. And mind you, His Excellency had no secret agenda or mission. He has no secret agenda or mission. His agenda and his mission is that of making sure the masses are comfortable, making sure the masses sleep while he is awake. While people are sleeping, he is awake, making sure that things go on well. So I think,
and that earned him the name Governor of the Masses.
Yes.
Let's talk about. Sorry, Steven. Let's talk
You may
about.
need to add to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you see, you mentioned something that is very, very spectacular. Yeah, in the biblical days, God's people, the Israelites, were practicing the theocracy. That was a form of governance that was centered on God. God appointed kings, appointed judges, appointed priests who administered on the needs of the people, both spiritual and temporal. This went on even till the time of the early time of the Roman Empire. There was a time popes were in charge of both the spiritual and temporal needs of the people. You know, to the extent that popes were even keeping soldiers, and these are the people we refer to as knights currently. Now, with modernization and in our contemporary time, democracy came in, right? Which is a government where you need to go there and contest, you know, and this contestation goes with a lot of bitterness. People struggle over power. People fight over power, right? In this circumstance, it becomes very, very difficult for you to combine, you know, being a democratically elected person and then being a priest. So the church says, look, you need to draw a line between the two. But you see, if you look at the whole thing holistically, one thing is so certain. The relationship between the state and the church is so firm that it's almost impossible to separate the two. You know, it is interwoven, you know, to the extent that even when you come for a state function, you begin with a prayer, you end with a prayer. And in practically all the government houses, at least here in Nigeria, you have chapels, you have mosques, and they work very closely with religious leaders. But in our case here in Benue, Father Dasu broke the chain, and then the people saw the light. They became excited, and they seemed to be holding so tenaciously onto it. And part of why Father succeeded was because he flew on the wings of Father Dasu, you know. So that has become almost something constant here in Benue State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, you know, the challenges encountered by the governor in the course of his priestly journey, you know, up to this point where he is, you know, the governor of Benue State. Because when I see applauds, accolades, and I see praises and people looking at the glory, what I see is a scenario of Jesus on the cross screaming, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? Because looking at his priestly journey, there has been lots and lots of challenges up till now where he is the governor. Lots of fightbacks, lots of antagonizing, trying to see that which he wants to do, he doesn't succeed at it. I see lots of that. And it's easy to see the picture of Jesus crying out, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? Walk us through some of the challenges encountered by the governor because of his priestly journey.
Yeah, you see, it was our son here in Benue State, Bongosikwe. He sang in one of his musics that nothing good comes easy. And theologically speaking, you see, anyone who is close, very, very close to God, faces a whole lot of challenges and difficulties in his mission. You can trace it back to the biblical days. Take a look at the life of Abraham, the man we celebrate as a father of faith. Things weren't that easy for him. You can imagine a young man from the age of 30 to 40 to 60 to 80 to 90 without a child. That was quite challenging. You can talk about people like Elijah, who suffered, and it got to a point that he prayed he should die. So anyone who comes very close to God goes through difficulties. And Jesus was very honest when he told us, his followers, that if you want to be a follower of his, you better go pick up your cross and come after him. And he presented it in another form, that the road to heaven is very narrow. It's not wide. People are so engrossed in doing things wrongly, and the society seems to be taking the wrong side, the left-hand side of life. So if you come and you want to change the status quo, if you come and you want to do things right, obviously so many forces will rise up against you, and that is what Father is facing currently. Suppose this is not happening, we would have seen that something is going on wrong. What you are presenting as challenges currently, I've told him a number of times that what he's saying currently, he's going to see more fierce opposition in future. These things will keep coming. If he doesn't want to be attacked by these people who are attacking him, then he has to behave exactly like one of them. Once he becomes like one of them, they will bring him in as their member, and once that happens, the masses are obviously going to turn against him. So it's a question of choosing between the two. Where do you stand? Is it with the masses, or is it with the selected few who have pressed a nail on the necks of the people over the years? So it's a question of choosing between the two. And as long as he is standing with the masses, these attacks are going to continue, these challenges are going to continue. But just as you rightly pointed out, Jesus cried, he bled, eventually he gave us his ghost. But this happened for good. So for there to be life, sometimes even the life is taken. For there to be progress, there must be a cross. For there to be a crown, a cross must come first before it. And that is what Father is doing. He's taking what we call, he's collecting bullets on behalf of Benue people.
And you see that in life, life is made up of two, day and night, good and evil. They are fighting themselves. Even a person have those challenges within him. And so for the governor too, he is facing that in Benue State. Even when you do something good, you face those challenges. But as Father has rightly said, even as Christians, you know that if you become a Christian, it's not a guarantee that you can't face challenges. You face challenges, you face temptations. But what is the difference? The difference is that as a Christian, God will give you the power to overcome that. And when you are doing something good, God is solidly behind you. God is the all-powerful and the end and the summum goodness. That is the biggest form of goodness you can find in God. So when you are doing anything good, even though if human beings are against it, God is behind you. And more so that God doesn't want people to suffer. When you take the masses, that you put them in front and you want to do everything for them, then God will support you. And that is exactly what the governor has done in Benue State. And you can see these few months, a year and some months, you can see what is on the ground is for the Benue masses. So, as Father has rightly said, there are some people that feel that the masses should not have their own. Even countries that have become independent, some they fight, and some of their members give their blood so that they can be independent. Whereas the others, they want them to continuously remain dependent on them. And that is what some human beings are. Even here in Benue State, if you give the opportunity, so some human beings, they want Benue masses to remain continuously dependent on them, and that is what the governor doesn't want. He wants the masses to be dependent, to be independent, so that they can find food themselves, so that they can be free and they can grow.
Okay, as his spiritual director, what legacy or legacies do you think the governor is building? Because he's not just coming to be a governor for 4 or 8 years and just move on. There must be something he's building, and he's been confiding in you. What legacies should Benue people expect at the end of his tenure?
As a spiritual director, it's not everything that the governor shares with me that I will share with anybody.
That's very paramount.
That is
Okay.
what, yes, confidentiality.
All right.
There is oath of secrecy
Okay.
that priests take when they listen to confession. They can't go and share it.
Okay.
And that is the position I am. But
Yeah.
let us not forget the fact that
Yes.
there are things that the governor is doing that will become his legacy. First, you see development, unprecedented. Secondly, you see transparency in the way things are done. Number 3, you see accountability. Number 4, you see effectiveness. Number 5, you see him putting people in the right places, those who can make things work. Those are legacies. You want to talk about somebody's legacy, there are plenty enough. But the things that we share, they are very, very confidential. I'm not
Okay,
supposed to
of
share
course.
with anybody.
Of course.
Okay, just very quickly
Yeah.
before you come in.
Yeah.
You see, the other day the governor was in our apartment for dinner. When we were discussing, I mentioned something. I said, Your Excellency, if not for any other thing, you have succeeded in leaving something behind that it would be almost impossible for anybody to come tomorrow and change it. You know, prior to his coming, it got to a point we started believing our leaders that payment of salary was practically impossible here in Benue. Right? As enlightened as many of us are, it got to a point we started buying into that narrative.
Yeah.
But presently, Father came to tell us very clearly that it is possible, and not just possible, but it can also be done on time. So when he's gone, Benue people will not take it from any governor who comes after him and tells the people that he cannot pay salaries. Benue will not take that from you. So Benue will not accept anything below this. Benue people will no longer take it from any person who becomes a governor tomorrow and says it is impossible to carry out projects. They won't take it from you.
More so that he has not borrowed.
Oh yeah.
Since he came, and when you come and you start borrowing, say there is no money,
You know.
then Benue people will be thinking otherwise.
And then finally, you know, it was as if political positions, political appointments were meant for specific persons from one administration to another since democracy came back. Right? Once a new governor comes in, you're just waiting for the list to be out. People are already having the names in their heads. It's just a question of placing them, you know, from one position to another. So the governor came to let us know that anybody can become anything in Benue State. It doesn't matter where you're coming from.
Maybe we need
so these are the legacies.
to expand on that. You know,
Okay.
legacies, you can say, okay, he left, he built this road. For example, they are building underpass now.
Yes.
Even if he lives and is 50 years, people will still say Governor Hyacinth Alia was the one that built the underpass. That is one of his legacies. Okay, now, but there's a legacy maybe I want you to expatiate on that has to do with the minds of the people. Because the most legacy you will leave is that in the mind of the people.
Okay.
Maybe you may need to talk about what Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia will be remembered for as far as changing the mindset of the people is concerned.
Okay. I think primarily about what you have mentioned is a fact that our father, the governor, has shown Benue State clearly that governance is not about sharing of money. And that is where his major problem is coming from. It's not about sharing of money. It's about building the people. You know, it's about putting in place infrastructure that will now put money into the people's pockets. You know, Father mentioned something here before. He said we are living in a state where particular individuals wanted the masses to depend on them permanently, right? I have complained time without number when you see politicians going to build churches and donate to communities. I see that as wrong. Churches should be built by God's people, right? When things are right, when the economy is moving, you don't need to build churches and donate them to people. If things are right, I'm working in a very remote what do you call it, a village. If my mothers there are able to take their tomatoes to the market and they sell it well, and I come out to say, look, we want each and every one of you to pay 2,000 naira towards the building of our church. If our men go to the market and are able to sell their rice at good prices, their cassava at good prices and all of that, and you say we want men to pay 5,000, people will be willing to do that and they'll have the capacity to do that. But with the current situation, or just before Father came in, you go to certain places, it's practically impossible for somebody to bring out 3 kobo from his or her pocket. And they're not pretending. You know, so Father has come to let us know that we can actually take our faith into our hands, right? He has come to let Benue people know that our gold is right inside the ground, and if you're able to dirty your hands in your farm, then you can warm your table. So that is one of the most important things that is going to be remembered for.
Oh, okay. Now, what can the people give to because campaigns, I saw them making offerings to support his journey, so to ensure that he becomes their governor.
Yes.
Because they believed so much in his mission, which is to liberate the Benue masses.
Yes.
Now that he is the governor, what can the people still give to him to ensure that his journey, his 34 years priestly journey, up to this point, still as the governor, is still a success?
There are a lot of things that they can give to the governor. They can give him advice, they can give him support, they can give him their cooperation, they can pray for him. So there are a lot of things they can do. And then, most importantly, they should make sure that they do things rightly, in the right way. It's not that you are driving against traffic, you are not cooperating with the governor. So they give him their cooperation, give him their support. That is what he needs. Give him their prayers, their good wishes. And then when they do that, he will walk away. And as Father has rightly said, when things are okay, everybody will go home smiling. The governor will not need to carry the state money and come and give you before you know that he is doing something well. But when you pray for him, when you support him, when you cooperate with him, then he can work well and Benue will be great.
Okay.
Yeah, in addition to what Father said in terms of cooperation with the governor, you know, before now we had a lot of illegal revenue collecting points all over the state, right? Yeah. And that scared a lot of people away from Benue State. You come here to buy, and before you leave the state, you would have spent triple of the cost of whatever it is that you came to buy. So our oranges got rotten in our orchards. We produced a whole lot and nobody was coming to buy. Now the governor came and is very, very strict about illegal revenue collection. All those places are dismantled. one of the things that people can also give to the governor, the type of cooperation that they can also give to him, is to adhere to this instruction. Remove illegal revenue checkpoints. When you do that, it brings about two things. One, more revenue will go into the coffers of the government, which will be used for development.
Yes.
Secondly, you will encourage people coming here to do businesses. There was another very dangerous, what will I call it? Something that was they used to call a matching ground.
Yes.
You know, that was thuggery. You buy a piece of land, and before you develop it, you would have spent so much money that was enough for you to set a foundation for that house. That has been stopped. This is to encourage people, create value for their money. So if people actually listen to the governor and they stop doing those things, they are cooperating with him. They are giving him something. But above all, you know, the governor cannot be everywhere. And that is why he's having appointees. People are made in charge of different areas of governance. Those people need to give him cooperation. As much as he has goodwill for Benue people, if there's no cooperation coming from his appointees, he cannot do so much.
Also, to add to that, there can be no development where there is no peace. We must be vanguards of peace wherever we find ourselves. You mustn't come to Makurdi, the Benue State capital, before you promote peace. Wherever you are, you be a vanguard for peace. And that leads us into this issue of killings and security here and there. If you are angry, don't kill. If you are angry, what is making you angry? You find a way of telling people why you are angry. Not matter of going to kill. Killing is not the solution. Even when you quarrel with somebody, you must sit back and talk before that quarrel ends. So the people can also make sure, most especially our youths, they should make sure that they are vanguard of peace wherever they find themselves. If you are in a place and there are some youth that are killing people and displacing people, you are not cooperating with the governor. The intention of the governor is for people to settle in their ancestral lands so that they can farm. You can see that recently the governor provided a lot of agricultural seeds. He provided a lot of herbicides. He provided a lot of fertilizer free to farmers so that they can go to their ancestral homes and farms. But when people are displaced there, they cannot farm, and then we'll have problem with food security. So what the people can give to the governor in appreciation to what he is doing, make sure that wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, you be in the forefront to make sure that there is peace. Peace in your heart first, peace in your family, peace in your home, then peace in your surrounding. I think this is another thing that we can give to the governor. And now that he's celebrating his anniversary, this can be an anniversary gift to the governor, you know. If you have not been doing it, as you are listening to us now, you make up your mind that yes, because I have listened to this gentleman and a lady here, I have made up my mind that I will be in the forefront to promote peace so that Benue will be at peace, and with peace there is development. And then people should be united. Don't bring unnecessary division. Division will not take us anywhere. If you look at the coat of arms of Nigeria, say peace, unity and progress. So when there is peace, then there is unity. When there is unity, you see progress and development.
I like the fact where you mentioned unity, because during the Thanksgiving celebration where the classmates of the governor got together, he mentioned that he forgave those who fought against him during campaigns, and the time of electionary campaigns are over. Now it's time for governance. Everybody should come on board. One remarkable thing about this 34th priestly anniversary is the fact that there were over about 120 of them that were admitted into the major seminary, but only 36 of them, made it to ordination. And out of even this few number, a lot of them are passed on So, but the few that are still there, they have been standing strong, and grace has been helping them. We'll go for a short break. When we return, we'll be on the last lap of this edition of Daybreak Benue. Stay with us.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dobo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman Media and Publicity.
Hallelujah! Are you happy? Are you happy? Make some noise for Jesus! To follow Jesus. Today is a great day for our church, for our families, for our faith, and for the entire world. Hallelujah! Why? Because Jesus is King. Jesus is Lord. Friends, this is the center of Christianity. This is the center of our faith. This is what unites you and I. This is what has given life to the entire world. Hallelujah! Jesus says, if anyone hides me before people, I will hide him and deny him before the angels and saints in heaven. Today, we have told Jesus what we have decided to follow him and no turning back. Hallelujah! Matthew 11, 28 through 30 says, come to me, all you who labor and earn, and I will give you. And here's the King, Jesus is Hallelujah.
For the past 34 years, the governor of Benue State, Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia, has been serving God and humanity with absolute dedication and devotion. The journey so far hasn't been easy, but he has stood firm to ensure that he delivers and truly represents what the people call him, governor of the masses. And on 31st of August 2024, Nigeria, not just Benue, but even people in the diaspora, will all assemble at the IBB Square Makudi to celebrate the 34th priestly anniversary of His Excellency Governor Hyacinth Alia at 10 a.m. prompt. And we are here having a conversation in the studio about this journey so far and his impact to humanity. We're almost out of time now, so we'll just use these few minutes to wrap up our thoughts. Overall, though, what lessons can others, because the governor came in here to not just change things in Benue, but create a perception, a new narrative concerning Benue as a whole to the rest of the world, and not just Nigerians. What lessons overall now can be drawn from his life and service to God and humanity?
Well, the issue of leadership failure is not just a Benue thing. It's what the entire country is suffering from. And as I mentioned earlier, it got to a point that Nigerians believe that it's practically impossible to have people do the right thing in governance. So Father's style of leadership, as we speak currently, is already having a national appeal. People are beginning to make references to Benue. That if you want to know how the right thing should be done in governance, go to Benue State and take a look at what the Reverend Father is doing there. So he has become a beacon of hope. He has become a tiny light that is shining in the darkness of this country. So he has become a reference point where people can now say, if you want to do it right, take a look at what Father Alia is doing in Benue. So he has brought in a new regime in the style of governance in this country.
Also, to add to it, his leadership position has not changed him. In fact, we went to his house with some guests, and as a governor, he wanted to move the table with a chair where he wanted us to go and sit. I have to rush quickly and collect it from him. And that is what he does. And he knows that he has to go do the work himself. He's not sitting as an emperor. He's here to serve. Service is very paramount in his life. And not just service to humanity. Make sure the human person is comfortable. So it's another legacy that we can learn. And as we prepare to celebrate him on Saturday, one of the things that is very important is a reminder to him and to people that he is not just a governor but a priest before he became the governor. And so let him to know that he is a priest, and he is very conscious of that fact. He's very conscious. You remember the other day, the vice president was to come and commission the Benue Business Hub. You see the Roman collar. Any important function he's going out, he uses the Roman collar to remind you that he is not any other person. He is a priest, and he has an agenda. The agenda is the agenda of Jesus Christ, to serve people and make sure things are good, to leave Benue better than he met it. And that is what he has in mind. And so as we prepare to celebrate him on that day, we want people to know that he is a priest before the governor. So when you are dealing with him, you know that, yes, I'm dealing not just with anybody but a priest.
Okay. You want to add to that?
Yeah, he attended the function in Kano, and then he was wearing agbada. So one woman called me on the phone. Said, please, Father, tell the governor we don't like seeing him in agbada. When he puts on agbada, he looks like one of these people. We want him unique. Let him be putting on his clerical wares. And when he came back, I told him, and he laughed. You see, Benue people did not vote him because he's Hyacinth Alia, right? They didn't vote him because he's a good man. They voted him primarily because he's a Catholic priest.
And they know what the Catholic priest can do.
Oh yes. So we and the entire Benue people want him to be constantly conscious of his identity. And as a matter of fact, that is the main reason for this celebration. People say, you are okay, Yalen, but no more. right? That no matter how your dog is going after a game, it doesn't stop you from gingering it up. So he's very much conscious of the fact that he is a priest, but we want to keep on reenacting that in his head. And Benue people want him to know that he's a Catholic priest.
31st of August, this month is just close by. We'll be celebrating the 4th priestly ordination. What do the committee and even the governor himself expect from Benue people at this point in time, that particular day? What will be our contribution to that occasion?
The governor is not the one celebrating, let me put it very clearly. It is the committee that felt that, yes, this holy man has come down from his exalted position to serve Benue people. And now, it's 34 years since he was raised to that position. So let us celebrate him. And the committee has organized for him.
It's okay.
He's not the one organizing. So what the committee expects from Benue people is to come out and identify with their leader, with their son, with their Messiah. The committee expects Benue people to come out. Those who are not able to come out, wherever they are, they should join us online. As the mass goes on, they should join us. And those who are not able to join, they can take time and request for mass in their parishes for good governance in Benue State under the leadership of His Excellency Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomalia. People can request novena mass. People can even say novena prayers, those who are not able to come. But the expectation from the committee is for Benue people to come out and celebrate their Moses.
Have anything to add to that?
Well, I think he has said it all. We are expecting that Benue people will turn out in mass to be part of that celebration. And technology has made things so very easy for us this time around. If you are unable to be practically present there at IBB Square, you can. I know Benue Television is going to be there live.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can follow Benue Television either on your television or on your cell phone, wherever you are, so that we'll celebrate for and with him.
Yes. And what will be your parting words because we are wrapping up on this segment of the program now, what will be your parting words to our viewers out there?
My parting words are this. The governor has introduced a new regime of governance in Benue State. And sometimes change can be very, very difficult for people to adapt to. But I want to assure Benue people that Father means well, the governor means well for each and every one of us. So let us stand by him. And by standing by him, I mean keep him in our prayers and then try to follow his policies, which are for our own good.
Okay, thank you very much. Reverend Father Michael Meladu, FJS Chairman, Christian Pilgrims Welfare Board, for coming on Daybreak this morning. And let's move over to you now, Reverend Father Ugo Clement, Spiritual Director to the Governor of Benue State, for your parting words to the people.
My parting words to our viewers is, first of all, to thank them for giving us their listening ears. I know that what we have shared with them, we also have something positive to do in their lives and in the life of Benue State. I also want to call on each and every one of us who have listened to us or who are listening to us to have faith in the administration of His Excellency Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yomalia. He meant well for the Benue people. If he never meant well, he wouldn't have accepted their call to come and be the governor. He meant well. So wherever he lacks, that is being human. But what he himself wants is for the good of Benue State, not for himself. So he needs our prayers, he needs our support, he needs our cooperation, he needs our advice.
All right, thank you very much, Father, for finding time within your busy schedule to come spend this quality time with us here on Daybreak. We sincerely appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
And that is a wrap up on this segment of Daybreak Benue, where we have been having a conversation on the 3 decades of Governor Alia's priesthood impact on humanity. We'll now go for a break and return. We'll turn our attention to the headlines to find out stories that are making the news. Stay with us.
Here is a special invitation. The Central Planning Committee and the good people of Benue State specially invite you to the 34th priestly ordination anniversary of His Excellency, Very Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Umemalia.
Distinguished guest of honor, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Father of the Day, Chief Senator Barnabas Gamade.
Mother of the Day, Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato.
Royal Fathers of the Day are His Royal Majesty Ochiviri Professor James Ayate, Totiv, and His Royal Majesty John Eligo Dogo, the Ochidoma.
Date 31st August 2024. Time 10 a.m. for Mass. Venue IBB Square, Makudi, Benue State, Nigeria.
Announcers Reverend Father Tagesa Akpae, Chairman CPC, and Reverend Father Michael Melado, Chairman, Media and Publicity.
Thank you for staying with us. We are now turning our attention to the papers to find out stories that are making the news. And our first choice of papers this morning is the leadership. The leading story here says internship policy. The NYC rejects HND graduates at orientation camps. You find our story on page 4. And the writer here says demands industrial training certificate. Potential court members stranded as officials hold screening. Now, if we move above the masthead, Abuja Industrial Park to employ 40,000 youth, says Wiki. And you find our story on page 69. If we move over to page 25, the story here says federal government plans legal framework to protect whistleblowers. And then beside the pictorial story, which will just take one more story due to time constraint, Kano government closes MDA's account, page 18. Let's move on to another paper.
Our next choice of paper is Daily Trust. The leading story here says flooding kills over 170 in 15 states. And the writer says 107,652 hectares of farmlands, 80,049 houses destroyed. NEMA warns of severe incidents in September, October. Tinubu urges speedy action on environmental concerns. That story is on page 4. And above the masthead, below the masthead, I beg your pardon, kidney harvest. FG suspends doctor accused in Daily Trust report. That story is on page 5. NCC sets September 14th as final deadline for SIM-NIN linkage. The story is on page 23. And fresh diphtheria outbreak claims 40 lives in Kano. The story is on page 6.
Alright, let's now turn our attention to our last choice of paper this morning, which is The Nation. And the latest story here says police offer 19 others held for terrorism. Police officer, 19 others held for terrorism. I beg your pardon there. How ASP or the suspects, I bet Boko Haram, bandits, ISWAP by DIA, page 2. Above the masthead, Atiku should wait till 2031 to run, says Body George. The writer, ex-vice president, no 2027 talks for now. You find that story on page 3. Now, if you move out to page 7, federal government sets September 14 deadline for SIM-to-NIN linkage. Why Hajj Commission must be reformed by presidency, page 2. That's much time will permit us to look at the papers this morning. It's been an interesting edition, Stephen.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot. I got inspired along the way. But the one thing that stood out for me is the fact that all hands have to be on deck to actually take Benue State to that desired destination. Time for politicking is over. Time for campaign is over. Now it's time for governance. All hands have to be on deck. Yes. For building. This is what we wrap it up on today's edition of Daybreak Benue. Benue Television News will come up at 9 a.m. My name is Mercy Upa.
I'm Stephen Abba. Do have a lovely day.